women's national championship for March Madness. And again, this was a great game. Caitlin Clark balled out. Angel Reese balled out. Of course, they had some exchange after the game. Angel Reese said her piece at the podium after the game, came right from the heart. If you guys haven't seen the I Am Athlete podcast in general, make sure to check that out. But the reason I say that is they already got Angel Reese for an exclusive first sit down after the NFL draft. Hope I can see the chat comments tonight. Y'all let me know. You should be able to jump in there. I don't know what was going on last time. But yes, absolutely one heck of a game. I Am Athlete got Angel Reese, the player who was under some under some controversy. You see her in the lower third. She was going back and forth with Caitlin Clark. They got her on the sit down. They really dug in with her. Awesome interview. I was soaking that up right before we got on the show. But let's talk about the incident that everyone is going on about. And of course, it is Angel Reese hitting the John Cena on Caitlin Clark, pointing at the ring finger, which we see people do all the time when they're about to win a ring. Thank God the chat is coming through tonight, so I'm very happy about that. We always see people pointing at the ring. We always see people taunting. And I think the biggest one-liner from this subject is, I feel like if we're talking about a men's national championship game and we're talking about the NFL, this is fine. Like, we're absolutely fine. Maybe even if we're talking about the WNBA, this is fine. But of course, you've got the labels that have been put on Angel Reese. You've got these labels that have been put on the state of Louisiana, on the LSU Lady Tigers. And it's just a lot going around. Really, really a lot going around. And as Michael Darby says, yes, da Bayou Barbie. If you're not even in like to sports, you already know about this situation. But the biggest thing that people are now going back and forth about, and again, I'm not going to talk about the whole black or white incident. There's no reason to get into that. They're both being competitive. Caitlin Clark already came out and said, I don't think Angel should be catching any flack. I don't think she should be catching any flack at all because this is good for the game. It's competitive. People knew there was going to be trash talk. She knows she's a trash talker. Caitlin Clark, absolute stand-up athlete. The way that she handled the situation as well. She was at the post game claiming that she didn't see what was happening from Angel Reese. Apparently, she was very focused. I believe she saw her. Angel Reese in the I Am Athlete podcast said, I know she saw me as well. I would have seen a person doing that. But she was great at the podium. She said that she was just looking to get to the handshake line. She said that coach, I think Kim Mulkey, great story on her end, by the way. And Angel Reese, said nothing but good things to her in the handshake line. So there was sportsmanship after the slight celebration. And I don't really understand why everyone's blowing it out of context. We've seen Caitlin Clark, hype her teammates up, talking trash to the bench. I think she was playing Louisville and she literally told a player, you're down 15 points. Shut up. That might be a little rough for some of you people out there, but realistically, that is very light in the game of trash talking. If you think that's rough, go listen to Jalen Ramsey talk trash. Go listen to Phillip Rivers, the way he talked trash. Just go look up NFL mic'd up. Go look up multiple talking trash moments in sports. And I promise what happened between Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese and what each of these players have done in terms of their character this season, not in a bad way, but it doesn't hold a candle to what some of the mic'd up parts from these other sports are. So, let's talk about the two situations. Again, Caitlin Clark, she is very competitive. She is very acclaimed by her teammates. She is in front of the benches, hyping people up. She is, just getting hype in general, celebrating after every shot, just really got that energy flowing through her. So was one situation worse than the other? Absolutely not. Neither of these situations were worse than the other. I know some people are saying two wrongs don't make a right, but it's not that deep. It's not to that extent with this situation. So Caitlin Clark, she had the slight, you can't see me hand gesture. And then, in the game before, and then she was walking past the bench, or I think walking to the bench, whichever way she was going. And I mean, that was fine. That was absolutely fine. Again, she fires up her teammates. That's what she does. That's how competitive she is. And the one thing that really made Angel Reese mad, and this is what Angel Reese had referred to as well, is that Angel Reese was like, she waved off my teammate. She literally saw her standing at the arc, or not her teammate. I think it was from the South Carolina game in the Final Four, talking about how she waved off the teammate. I think it was Angel Morris, if I'm not mistaken. Angel Reese, of course, is the player that we're talking about here. But yes, talking about how Caitlin Clark waved off Angel Morris. Angel Reese didn't like that. She was not a fan of that at all. So when Angel Reese comes now, it's the end of the game. Great victory, 102-85. LSU really did their thing. They were doubted by a lot of people. They were not in many people's brackets for the ladies' side of the tournament. And you could see that Angel Reese, yes, was following her around the court some. That's not what a lot of people are a fan of. But people are taking it to the point of taunting. Yeah, maybe it was taunting. If she would have got teed up at the end of a game where they're up by, I think, 17 points, okay, so be it. Caitlin Clark is one of the best players, if not the best player in women's college basketball right now. Angel Reese is very close to her also. She was happy about the moment. She was celebrating. It was the first time LSU had ever won a national championship in college basketball for women's. And to know what Kim Mulkey did, I think within a 3-season span, turned that team around. Angel Reese talked about how when she transferred from Maryland, she was going to go be a South Carolina Gamecock. One of her friends had hit her up. She came to LSU. Kim Mulkey was saying, I don't know if I can get Angel Reese. Angel Reese showed up. They had this turnaround. Things played out great, and now they won the title. So all of those emotions were wrapped up into that celebration from Angel Reese, and I think it's fine. Caitlin Clark thinks it's fine. This is what we need in sports is more competition. We see in the NFL how it's illegal to touch the quarterback now. And we see in baseball how, they're talking about robot umpires taking out, the human element. Not enough relevance with hockey. Like we've seen these certain sports not potentially go to the heights they can because of lack of competitiveness or rules or things like I just mentioned, taking out the element that everyone fell in love with. Trash talking is always going to be the core of a sport. Trash talking is something that is needed in a sport. It's emotional exchanges. Yes, these players probably cuss at each other. Of course, we hear it on the mic'd up. But this wasn't the case here. This was a class act again in Caitlin Clark accepting the defeat. She lost by 17 points in the national title game and is one of the biggest players in the country. People are comparing her to the Steph Curry of women's college basketball right now. That is the pedestal that Caitlin Clark is being put on. And because Angel Reese wants to come behind with this taunt, this, that, and the third, Dave Portnoy, absolutely disgusting comment what you said about her being a classless piece of shit. Absolutely horrible. I hope you don't speak to other people like that, truthfully. I hope you have more grace and more understanding, considering everybody has a past and everybody has a background, that we shouldn't throw out words like that. Keith Oberman apparently was went at by, I don't know, it's Brandon Marshall's lady on I Am Athlete podcast, Ashley. I was just watching her talk with Angel Reese on the show, and she talked about how she clapped back at Keith Oberman. Just for people to go to that extent, just call them stupid MFers and this, that, and the third, really, really intense for a women's college basketball game. I didn't necessarily like the fact that she was kind of following her around, but I'm not going to freak out about that. She was happy. She leaned into it. She said she's the Bayou Barbie. She said, everyone's doubted me all year. I don't fit into the box. And this is why I respect the hell out of Angel Reese and really why this situation just had a lot of good light to actually be shed on it. Angel Reese in the postgame comments basically said she was critiqued all year about who she was. She was hood. She was ghetto. And she said, I don't fit into the box that the media wants me to, that the box that y'all want me to fit into. I'm not just going to stand in there. That and this was for all the girls who look like me, who are going to speak up when it's time to and be unapologetically them. That was her words in the postgame presser right after the game ended. And she said, even in the interview with I Am Athlete, there's no beef. There's absolutely no beef with Caitlin Clark. She hasn't talked to her, but there's no beef with her. She was celebrating against what people are calling, again, the Steph Curry of women's college basketball. So go figure. I loved it. I thought it was great. And, for, again, now a Louisiana sports team winning a championship, and there's controversy around how they won it or the players that were involved in winning it. I got to lean into this part of it here because it's something that I'm seeing, and sports media is all over states. It's all over certain teams. It's all over certain like regions of maybe all Florida teams or Washington teams, whatever the case is. I'm not saying that's what's happening, but as we get into this breakdown, you'll see you'll see what I mean. I concur. Tell me what you mean, Bruns. Good to see you in the chat, man. Good to see you looking clean. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I feel great because of the amazing cookies that you made earlier, and I love you, babe. Okay, so talking about the kind of bias slash this odd angle that is pointed at Louisiana sports, dating back to when the Saints won the Super Bowl in 2009. Oh, it only happened because of Katrina. oh, it only happened because Sean Payton got lucky and called that onside kick, which I have said if that goes the opposite way and it doesn't doink off the Colts player's helmet and we recover it to open the halftime of the first ever Super Bowl in franchise history from maybe the worst sports franchise in history and definitely in the NFL at the time before Sean Payton came over, it could be completely different for Sean Payton. But it wasn't. He pulled it off. We had the pick six on Peyton Manning, and we won the Super Bowl fair and square. But people will continue to sit there and say that it wasn't deserved. It should be stripped because of Bounty Gate. It only happened because of Katrina. They got lucky in the Super Bowl. Things happen. Life happens, and the Saints went and won the Super Bowl that year. 2020, when the state of Louisiana finally won its first, I want to say overall sports championship, but definitely a football championship for the first time since the Saints did in 2009. Oh, but it was Joe Burrow who was the number one overall pick, and he had Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson, and you could have went through that NFL draft and picked apart that team and just taken whoever you wanted for your NFL team. Oh, that was possibly the best college football team ever. Okay, let's use that as a testament to how great the team was and not discount the state of Louisiana, the city of New Orleans for what it is. And then you have the 2023 LSU Tigers, women's college basketball, national champions of March Madness. And people aren't going to take away the win, but they're going to find something, whether it's a player, whether it's a situation. And I know people are probably going to come back and be like, oh, what about when the Saints complained about the referees making that call? It's kind of out of our control at that moment. But the things that people want to critique are in everybody's control, and they still find a way to make an issue about it. Again, people pointing at Angel Reese, saying she was too ghetto, she was too hood. Do y'all know Angel Reese has 17 NIL deals right now? Do you know that Angel Reese has the most NIL deals out of any college basketball player right now, men or women's? And she's in the top 5 in the entirety of the NCAA in NIL deals as well. 17 NIL deals. She said on the I Am Athlete podcast today that NIL will literally determine how long she spends in college, because with NIL, she could be making more than a top superstar elite WNBA player would be making at the peak of their career. So I just think people are really looking into a lot of unnecessary angles and just really going out of their way to discount a Louisiana team winning a championship. And that's unfair to the state. That's unfair to the city of New Orleans. That's unfair to the fans, the people that hail from there. And it's just it's pretty funny. You know, it's pretty hilarious to know that every time the Louisiana team's going to get the spotlight, boom, here comes something.